reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network. MMO Reporter's PAX 2012 coverage is brought to you by Guild Launch. Slay more dragons with Guild Launch.
Neverwinter is a free-to-play action combat MMORPG. We're developing it from the ground up to be free-to-play. You know, everyone's doing conversions or has converted their games by this point, and we're just building it from the ground up to be that way. So 100% free. There's no box price. There's no subscription. There's no play for 10 levels and then it becomes paid. Anything like that. Action combat is one of the big moment-to-moment thing that we're pushing here at the booth, the press room. We're not really going into that, but if you have time to go up to the booth and check it out, you can get your hands on and play the actual action combat stuff. Really excited about that. We've been getting great reviews from the fans and from the press about how tight and responsive it all feels. We kind of are, maybe arguing semantics now, but we feel that, it's so in vogue now to say you're an MMO with action combat, but we feel like a lot of the other games are just taking traditional MMO combat and changing the targeting scheme fast, picking the speed up on cooldowns, and that's about it. But we're trying to approach it from the other side. So let's make a fun action combat system, and then happen to have that in our MMO world. So if you don't have a chance to play it here, please go up to the booth and check it out. What we are looking at here is our user-generated content system called the Foundry. This is where, like I said before, it's a full-featured MMO, so hundreds of players running around in these persistent zones together. But you can actually make missions for those players. Every player can get in, create their own content, put it out there for other players to see, and it happens fully integrated with the other game world that the crypto content is in.
When you say they're creating like missions for one another, so they're what assets are they working with? Are they able to record the audio for these?
So importing we have basically, it'll be like a library-based system as opposed to importing your own assets. And you'll see, I'll walk us through making a mission, and you'll get to see what it's like. So here we are in Protector's Enclave. It's an example of one of our social areas. This is where, most like an Orgrimmar or a Stormwind, something that everyone's getting together and doing their e-wedding ceremonies, that sort of thing. That's a bar up there called the Moonstone Mast that you can go hang out in, which you might recognize from Neverwinter Nights 2, I think it was that one. So over here on my mission tracker, I have a few missions, and some of them are Foundry missions and some of them are not. So you can't really tell, and we don't want you to really necessarily care. It's just content for as much as you care. Same thing with your journal. You have Foundry missions, you have regular cryptic missions. Your mission tracker works the same. You can use the Golden Path, which is one of the ways that we have to guide you to your next objective if you're ever lost. That waypointing system will automatically work for Foundry content. So really trying to make sure that there's no difference to the Foundry content that you're making from what my team makes back at Cryptic Studios. You can even go in and take it a step further and claim specific NPCs or objects as your portal into your UGC mission. So, for example, this guy in the green coat right here is just an NPC that hangs around and doesn't do anything. But when we go through and make our mission, I'll show you that we can actually pick him to be an NPC in our quest that we make dialogue for, and then he gives you a mission and that sort of thing. It works that way for people. If we want to do something whimsical, where like a wizard enchanted a magical potted plant or something, you could totally pick the potted plant that lives up there, and that teleports you somewhere crazy, right? So UGC super integrated into what we're doing here, but how do I get into it? And I don't know why I've been obsessed with doing this part on the stump. There's many ways to get into it. You can press L to bring up the landing page. This will also show up any time that you just start the game. It has your guild message of the day, the status of your auctions, mailbox, that sort of thing. You'll notice that the Foundry is prominently featured here, and we'll use this space to specifically call out really cool Foundry content. So our community team will play through a bunch of stuff and say, oh, these are some really impressive missions, you should get your hands on them and give it a try. If you want to find out more information, you just click on it and you pull up the catalog, which has that full expansive list of all the UGC content that's been created. You have advanced search filters that you can say, I want to look for anything by this author or by recommended level ranges, minimum star rating, that sort of thing. But as you browse through, you can see images that represent what that content is as defined by the author. You can read the reviews that have been posted from other users about that author. You can see where on the map of the Sword Coast that lives, etc. So that's one of the ways to get in there. That's kind of like the easy meta UI way to get there. But D&D is all about role-playing and feeling involved with this world. So if you want to be more immersed with your UGC experience, you can go to, for example, this tavern or any number of our little social areas that we have, and you can walk up to the job board, and then that'll access that content as well. Another step that you could do is, come up to this well-informed barmaid or Harper agent, people that we place throughout the environment to be kind of sources of rumors, right? And you'll talk to them and say, what is cool in this area? What makes her different from the job board or that catalog is that she gives you a subset of content that is appropriate for the area that you're in. So if you were in the Neverwinter Woods or the Black Lake District and you're really digging the vibe of that zone and the stories that are happening there, you can say, I'm just going to go to her and find out more stories that are taking place in and around my area. And I'll show you when we go through and make missions how you get to define that. So that's a little bit about how you get into this content. Now we'll hop quickly over to editing. So one of the things that other editors make you do is have a separate executable that's specifically the map editing tools, and then you have to manage a whole different folder structure, all that stuff. We didn't want to have you guys worry about that headache, so it's here right from the same launcher that you use. Here we're in character creation, or selection, I'm sorry, and you just pick the Foundry, and you can hop into it from there. So we'll make a new project here. And as we load it up, one of the major things that we're trying to do with the Foundry is make it accessible for users. I hate the fact that anytime I try to get into a new system, I have to watch like 6 hours of tutorial videos, and then I never know what I'm doing anyways, and it gets me all angry. So we've done a lot of work to try to lessen that sting for you guys when you want to come in and just create a quick quest. So you'll see here we have these little indicators that show, that pop up anytime there's a required task to have a functioning mission. And this will update in this helpful wizard down here so that anytime you must do something, for example, add an objective to the story, you can just click that and it'll take you right to the part of the editor that you need to be able to complete that task. So in this case, it's saying that I need to choose a location for where my mission takes place. And this is where my barmaid gets its information from, and this is where kind of thematically you get to decide where your mission is going to take place. So, do I want it to be a lighthouse over here on the coast, or do I want it to be a mountain range down here by the Mirror of Dead Men? For me, this is where I totally nerd out, because I've seen this map in those R.A. Salvatore books. This is the Sword Coast. I recognize these places, right? And I get to say, my mission is in the mines up on the crags, and that means something. That's where Catti-Bree and Wolfgar were running around like 4 books ago, So this map and my little indicator that I put there will show up anytime a player is playing my mission and they go to the map transition. They get to say, oh, I'm going to click on that mines and travel to there, which is really evocative of that, classic RPG feel like Baldur's Gate or something like that, So very, very excited about that feature.
So if you put a mine there, and then they go into that world, will just be a new mine?
Well, we'll actually create the map now. So it's entirely possible that you pick a weird icon there, and then it doesn't actually match the map that you make. But we wanted to have that flexibility so that if you wanted to do something cheeky, like there was a village there, but then you go down into a sinkhole and find something new, you're able to tell little surprises like that, right?
Okay.
But I'll show you map creation right now, actually, or in a quick bit. So now we'll hop to the story because we need to make some objectives for our mission, right? We didn't want to burden the community author with having to know so many technical details about how to hook up mission logic and all this other stuff. We want you to just think about it in terms of how your player is going to experience this content. So let's make one of the most generic MMO missions ever, right? We're going to have you start in a cryptic map, and then you're going to talk to a guy, and then you're going to go to a new map where you'll have to kill some guys and talk to a thing. And we're done. We just made that mission. So all you have to do is drag and drop from the library over here, and you can make concurrent tasks If you don't like that objective, you remove it and say, actually I want it to kill the guys after you go click on the object, whatever it may be. So this helpful GUI just lets you visualize that process that the player is gonna go through. And obviously we have a lot of details to fill in here, but at least that really nitty gritty of trying to hook things up to make sure they progress well is all already taken care of for you. So unnamed task here, we'll say talk to the guard. And as soon as we do that, that's what will appear in your mission tracker. That's what appears in your journal whenever people are playing your quest. And what does that guard say? He says, hey, help me out. Go to my house, please. And kill baddies. And now he'll say that when you talk to him, right? So really trying to make it as easy as possible for you to get in and do things.
Can you, sorry to interrupt
you.
Sure. What you've essentially done is you've brought the ability for players to be their own dungeon masters back to Dungeons & Dragons. Can you talk, when you're done with this, could you elaborate a little bit how you came about deciding to introduce this into the game?
Sure. Well, the short answer is, Neverwinter as an IP has a rich history in user-generated content. Obviously, the Aurora toolset with Neverwinter Nights 1 and 2. And when we sat down as a studio and said, what are the things that we must carry over, right? Obviously, Neverwinter, the city itself, Forgotten Realms, D&D, all of those core things came out. And one of the major ones was UGC. We had to do something because even though we are not making Neverwinter Nights 3, there is a legacy here that we want to support and try to provide for the fans of the game.
How familiar with will players of STO's Foundry be? Because it looks like pretty much the same thing, but with a different skin, different assets, obviously.
Sure. It is the whole intention with us releasing this in STO was that is sort of our beta process. Yeah. We put out a version 0.5 into STO. We were able to already test out a bunch of really cool stuff like the review and submission process, the how we have users critique things and make sure that explicit content gets removed without us having to go in there and do things. So it is much more robust than the things that you can do, and as we keep going through, there will be more things that stand out as being different. But it is absolutely the same underlying tech. So I'll say this many times throughout the rest of this, but there's always going to be a fast and easy way to do something. But we know that modders who are really motivated want a lot of detail, fine control, and we didn't want to sacrifice that with our accessibility goals. So we made this quick text blurb right there, and that may be fine for my mission, but to say you wanted to do a really robust story, you can go to the advanced dialogue editor and just drag more prompts over here. If you wanted to have more specific options for the player to say, yes if they press 1, or no if they press 2, and what happens when they say no, it kills the dialogue, something like that. You could do a whole bunch of things where maybe you want to have some sort of dialogue puzzle, and this option loops back around to the top because you failed some other test. That's maybe fine. Or maybe this option doesn't become visible until you've completed a certain objective or you've acquired a mission object, something like that. So that power that we know these storytellers are going to want to have is there, but it isn't set up in a way that you have to be invested in that to just be able to make any given mission. Taking that one step further, you can quickly hop into the game and walk through every single one of your dialogues, make sure that you don't have any loops, make sure that it all flows well, that sort of thing. We know that from our own experience that fast iterative design is really important to the process, so you can see how quickly we hop in and out and try to test things out. So now in our story we have to go in and create a map. So let's do that. The fast and easy way to do it, you can come pick any number of some cryptic presets where we just say, here's a sewer, here's a dungeon, you can go in and browse those and say that's the one that you want. But that's less exciting than making your own. So you can make an indoor or an outdoor map if you'd like. We're going to do an indoor one because we're going to a house. So for me, this is the part that I get really excited about because it's most like my D&D pen and paper sessions, right? Your DM says you walk down the corridor and you make a right, and what do you see? And then he just takes a tile set and puts it on the ground, right? So I can go over here and browse any number of these rooms, and we have a bunch of different kits here like caves and crypts and dungeons and human interiors, that sort of stuff. When you want to browse and look at them, you can kind of mouse over here and review the asset itself and see if that's actually what you want to put in. And say this house is what we want to start with, so you just drag it on there. And you want it to have it maybe progress into a hallway, so you drag that on and you just snap it together. And it's just like Legos, you can move them and place them however you'd like. And you can even mix the kits. So now I'm going to place a dungeon kit and have it connect to the house because for some reason there's a dungeon in this guy's house. And we also have a piece of tech called Doors Anywhere, which I'm sure you guys can guess the function of. You just connect it here, and it'll bash that wall down and make a door. Say through playtesting I don't end up liking that, you can move it over here, connect it there, and you have a door there now. So really trying to make it easy for the player to get in and change things around and do things the way they like.
Can I ask a question?
Uh-huh.
So you moved that hallway and made it a passage downward. Is it going to create a hole, or is it automatically populate a stairwell?
So this is not any sort of Y relation. This is all on a flat X.
Oh, I see.
So this is a top-down, like...
God's eye view.
Yeah, exactly. But we do have things like teleporters that you can put in that looks like we call them teleporters, but it's looks like a hole with a ladder, right? And you could have that essentially teleport you downwards or upwards, whatever you make your story be. So we basically have these shells of these rooms now, and we can do some detailing to make them look better. So you go to the details pane or the traps pane or the teleporters pane, and you can place, anvils, banners, beer steins, trees, all this crazy stuff. And that's done just the same. You kind of grab the object you want and drop it in there. And so you can use the search filters, and if you're doing a wizard study and you just want to look for some books or something, you look around on all that stuff. But say either you don't have the time or you're not necessarily an artist, you don't want to be overburdened by that, you can also just right-click this and say populate room. And since this is a human house, it'll drop down a bunch of assets that look appropriate for that house. So it at least either gives you a starting point, or maybe you're just not interested in doing anything different, so then you're done. That being said, you're not locked into a prefab now. You can say, oh, I didn't like that rug, I'm going to trash that. And the guy I was talking to was pretty fancy, so let's make sure he has a statue in his house. And we'll go and drop a statue over here. It's still totally editable by you. So we've done some map layout stuff, and we had to add bad guys to kill. So we're going to come over here and have our mission objective to drop in a bad guy. And what you see here is I've placed an encounter. In fact, it's a kobold mixed encounter, meaning some melee, some range, of standard difficulty. And this is one of the ways that we're able to give out real rewards, because you're placing down standardized templates of critters. So we know, for example, how much a mixed standard difficulty encounter of kobolds for the 22nd level should give you in terms of loot, cash, experience, that sort of thing. So what that eventually means is players can progress from low level to max level, doing nothing but UGC content, expecting to get real rewards, real loot, real experience, real currency. It is a completely viable way to go and progress your character if you'd like. Dealing with these templates, though, doesn't mean that you, again, don't have that finer control if you want. So you can move these specific actors around. Say you have a named guy in your story that, Mog the Crusher was the leader of this other stuff. You grab that specific actor and name him Mog the Crusher. And you have a specific costume you want for him, so you can go into the costume and override it. And this is, what Cryptic made its name on is really robust costume editing tools. So, you can, again, search for just an elf if you'd like. Or, browse this other stuff. Let's use that guy. So that's the fast and easy way to get at it, but like I've been saying over and over, there's more detailed things that you can get into. So let's customize this costume. So here we are in the costume editor, and you have a bunch of options here, so you can throw any number of helmets on it, and, change the colors of all this stuff. You have the body slot options, and you can make a brand new dude completely how you'd like. You have hair, head attached, all that fun stuff. And this still is pretty much our medium difficulty, or medium complexity level. There's a stage beyond this where you can switch over to advanced mode, and you have full access to, some really intense sliders. And I, for the life of me, have never been able to make anything good in here. But, I've given this to one of my artists, and they've created brand new monsters and really cool things where they put a wolf head on a guy and shrink him down, and put him in a cool little stance, like a werewolf lord, And I make something that looks just absolutely ridiculous, but, imagine what people with time and the necessary talents will be able to do with that. Yeah.
Just curious, can you adjust the size of his head as well in relation to his body?
Yeah, I believe that is one of the sliders. Like, well, just because this is one that I found, you know, you can make his hand super big, and so if it's in here somewhere where the head is, and you can lower the body. So yeah, really awful thing that I should stop having us look at. We'll go from there. Okay, so we have a guy now that is named Mog the Crusher that has a custom costume on him. And the last thing we need to do is go click on an object for our mission. So then we'll go in and say what is the object we want to click on, so you can create your special mission objectives that you'd like. So for example, the statue, because this was the statue guy. Alright, so just like the dialogue editor, we know that rapid iteration that we do is very important to the community authors. So at any given point you could say, I'm going to play that map with the changes that I just made, and after a quick load screen you'll be able to go in and see what you just did, play through it, and this was what, maybe like 10-15 seconds or so, and here we are now in the room that we created, and there's the giant lion statue that I put there, and the rug that I removed is gone, so all of those changes update very quickly. The doors anywhere door that I attached is where it is appropriately. So this is the room that I used that auto population on. You can see there's lots of cool things there that make it look pretty good. But you can also see that the rooms that I've done nothing to already look pretty good too. It's not like you're dealing with just untextured white squares, right? Again, trying to make sure that the layman can get in there and with a minimum amount of effort hits at least a certain visual quality and not just struggling through some really intense technical difficulties. So we'll come over here and find, the kobolds that we placed, excuse me. And here's our good friend Mog the Crusher, and he's wearing his silly hat that I made him wear. But he's ready to go and all that fun stuff. You also see that my mission tracker is appropriate with my unnamed task because I did not complete my mission. And the objective is not located, so that mission information too is already just quickly made for you, and it totally works. So you can start testing things out, and we have some tools here for you like reset maps. So if you've put in some intense like conditional statements or visibility triggers, sort of things like that, you can test it out. You can test it out and then just reset it real quick, try it again. Similarly, if you're not trying out combat, you can just kill some guys. And you'll see that your tasks update, the waypoints update. This is now clickable. Thank you for your help with the English language. Yeah, but all that stuff, again, just works straight out the gate really quickly so you can see what players are going to experience. Same with loot. So, what happens now? You've spent 800 more hours making this mission better, and it's the greatest thing in the world. You obviously want to be proud of yourself and brag to your friends and all that stuff. We're really trying to create a platform for authors to earn notoriety for themselves, make themselves big in the community. So prominently featured here in the catalog, you'll see the author name, and here in the details pane as well, you have the author name. And you can actually go to More by this author, and you reach that author's blog. Every author will automatically get a blog with us that they can continue to write, like, hey, working on Quest 3, please check in about a week or so whenever I finish. I can also then go in and subscribe to that author. So anytime they make an update to a mission or add a new piece of content, I'll get an in-game mail saying, hey, I've updated so-and-so, please check it out, right? I can send them a message, and I can also donate to that user. So if I really like the content that you make and I want to show my appreciation, I can grant you in-game currency as a sort of reward for going out and making cool content. There's also a set of almost like achievement-style DM rewards. So imagine something like acquire 5 5-star missions, and then if you do that, you've unlocked a custom gold border around your forum posts or something like that, right? And a title that says DM level 6 or whatever it may be. So really going out of our way not only to promote them, but incentivize them to do really cool work for us.